Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day today to be with me and my guest. I greatly appreciate it. Well, we have a very good show for you today. We're going to highlight a very special topic. It's called the Actors Fund, and David Engelman, the Director of Communications and Marketing, is my guest today. And David, thanks so much for taking time out of your day today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Deborah. It's great to be here. Thanks for hosting the Actors Fund.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Well, I know that myself, to include also my viewers, would love to get to know about you first. Why don't you tell us all about yourself before we start with the fund?
Of course. I'll try to give you the brief 30-second version. Originally from Michigan, now live in Brooklyn, and I've been at the Actors Fund for about 17 years, and prior to that was an actor, but made a transition and actually utilized the Actors Fund services, our career center at the Actors Fund, to help me make that transition. And now really proud to be here working at the fund, which is a social services agency for everyone in performing arts and entertainment, people who work around the country in film, television, radio, opera, music, and dance, on stage, on camera, behind the scenes, and we say below the line. So everybody in the studio, all of the folks that work for the IAs and dancers. It's just there's a lot of programs and services for everybody in entertainment and performing arts.
Well, you were talking about being an actor. Tell us about that journey for you and what happened.
Sure. I was really drawn to performing from a young age, and I got a college degree and was working in Michigan, but I felt the call of the stage and I moved to New York. And for about 10 years, I think, I did some children's theater, traveling the country, and did a lot of regional theater. Then I went back and got an MFA in acting, and then continued to do even more theater. And like I said, it was about 10 years. I loved it. I loved the stage. I loved working with everybody. The theater can really feel like a family when you're producing a show. But at a certain point, I lost that drive, and I lost really the love of the performing, and I was searching for what my next step would be. And a friend told me about the Actors Fund. And the fund has all kinds of services for people in entertainment and performing arts. And one of those areas is really around your career. So they help people in show business in terms of finding a parallel career, finding a sideline gig, because what you earn in the industry in performing arts and entertainment can very much fluctuate. It can go up and down. You go gig to gig. So finding a good parallel career, or certainly a sideline gig, but we talk about parallel career, something that you can do that will fulfill you while you're still pursuing your artistic goals. It can be really important for the community. And also our career counselors at the Actors Fund can help people in the community around transition. For people like me, if you happen to reach a point in your career where you want to explore new professional directions. This can be true certainly for dancers who after a certain point may need to explore other options. So we have a program called Career Transition for Dancers that offers scholarships specifically for people in dance.
Why don't you tell us about the fund? When did it become created, and what is it really all about?
Absolutely. So the Actors Fund, like I said, it's a national human services organization. The actors in our name is a little bit of a misnomer because we really are for everyone in film, television, radio, opera, music, and dance, whether you work on stage or behind the scenes, in all areas of entertainment. So we have offices in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. So we do help people nationally in all 50 states. The fund was founded in 1882 And it was originally founded because actors at that time, which was sort of everyone in the theatrical profession was considered an actor, whether you worked behind the scenes or on stage. And at that time, it was not considered the most respectable of professions. So if someone died and didn't have the funds or the family to support them, they were not allowed to be, in general, you weren't allowed to be buried in consecrated ground. So that was the first mission of the Actors Fund, was the community came together and they bought burial plots. The fund to this day, I think, has buried over 2,000 people in the industry who were without means. But since that time, it's really expanded. So now we have, like I said, social workers in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, and we help around 4 main areas in the industry. Actually 3 we sometimes talk about now, but that's career and life, health and wellness, and housing. So just to briefly describe those areas, like I said, career is one. That's a big challenge for the community. So we do offer the Career Center, our career transition for dancers programs, but also around life, so that we, in social services, you talk about the social services. So mental health, women's health, addiction and recovery, all of those areas where someone might need additional supports. You can come to the Actors Fund, and one of those really is emergency financial assistance. So that's very important for people who may not have other resources and need some additional help to prevent eviction, to pay for essential medications, to keep the lights on when someone has no other resources. You can come to the Actors Fund, you can get a financial grant. You do not need to pay that back if you qualify, and it can help someone to remain stable and stay in their home, or to stay alive if you're in health crisis. So all of those life issues you can come to the fund for, but we also talk about health and wellness. So the fund was at the forefront of health insurance and helping this community to navigating finding affordable health insurance. And in New York City, we also have a health center called the Friedman Health Center for the Performing Arts. So that allows people to come in the business and to stick with a primary care physician. But we have a whole suite of physicians at the Friedman Health Center. It's primary care, podiatry, gynecology, and sports medicine. So it's a wonderful health center, and it allows for continuity of care because people in our industry can tend to rotate on and off their health insurance depending on whether you book enough gigs as an actor or as a musician, and you may be rotating on and off your union health plan. And then the last area we talk about really is affordable housing, because people in the industry can tend to gravitate to bigger cities, such as Atlanta or Chicago or LA or New York, and many other cities across the US, where the entertainment industry may offer more opportunities. And so the housing is more expensive. So we do have affordable housing facilities in New York and in Los Angeles. And in addition to that, we have the Actors Fund Home, which is in Englewood, New Jersey. And it's a very special place that's been around since 1902. And it is dedicated for people who've dedicated a major portion of their professional careers to performing arts and entertainment. And that's a facility that offers skilled nursing, assisted living, short stay rehabilitation. So anybody can actually go there after you come out of the hospital from a surgery and you need a place to stay to recover before you return home. So that's a very special offering. And then the Actors Fund Home also offers memory care as well. So that's a wonderful community. If you go over there, we've gone over there and sang before. We do that every year around the holidays. We couldn't this year because of the pandemic, so we sent a video, but it's so fun to go there, and you'll sing for somebody and they'll raise their hand and say, "That was great, but I was in the original cast of Fiddler," or "I danced with on Broadway and with Ethel Merman in the original company of Gypsy. It's a fascinating community.
Well, it sounds wonderful, but why don't we take a break? We'll be right back. You're turned into Arts and Entertainment. We'll be right back.
So you think you're safe in your COVID bubble, huh? You don't wear your mask because you're around each other all the time and you trust each other. If only it were that simple. Let's say you go over to your neighbor's house. That's okay, right? They're in your bubble. But your neighbor goes to work and has a coworker that doesn't wear a mask over his nose. And that coworker has a family and grown children that also go to work. Your neighbor also has a close relative who goes to bonfires at another friend's house regularly, where everyone is close together but don't wear masks because they're outside, and they all have families and coworkers. That's just your neighbor. That doesn't include your neighbor's neighbors, or your sister, your aunt, your best friend, or even your dad. The point is, everyone you know has a network. Everyone in their network has a network, and it only grows from there. So when you think you're hanging out with just 10 people, you're really hanging out with 100, 500, maybe 1,000. We'd hate to burst your bubble, but you don't have one. So think twice before venturing out. Keep your guard and your mask up whenever you're around anyone who doesn't live in your immediate household, even if they're trusted family or friends. That's the best way to stay safe and healthy.
Welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. Thanks so much for continuing to stay with me. Well, we have a great topic today. We're talking about the Actors Fund, and David Engelman, the Director of Communications and Marketing, continues to be my guest today. And David, thanks so much for staying with us today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You know what? Two things are on my mind, COVID and the website. Let's start with COVID. How has it affected your community?
That's a great question. It's really had deeply affected the entertainment and performing arts community. And forgive me as I cheat for some numbers on my computer here, but there's estimates that about 95% of artists and creative workers have lost income due to the pandemic, and about 63% are fully unemployed. And there's estimates as upwards of 845,000 jobs that are no longer being supported. So this has been unprecedented. Broadway has shut down in March. Film and television production shut down. This is inclusive of dance, performing arts centers across the country, theaters across the country. So it's just been devastating to people that work in this industry, who this is their livelihood. The Actors Fund has helped in many ways. So as soon as the pandemic, as soon as the shutdowns across the country began, the Actors Fund was inundated with requests for emergency financial assistance. People needed assistance to keep, like I said, keep the lights on, pay for medications, and fill in those gaps before perhaps unemployment came through or when their paychecks completely stopped. To date, in 2020, just to give you some perspective, the Actors Fund has provided $18 million in direct financial assistance to over 14,700 people who work in performing arts and entertainment. And again, to provide perspective, in a normal year, and quote unquote normal, and there's nothing normal in performing arts and entertainment, just because the nature of the industry can always shift, but in a average year, the Actors Fund may provide about $2 million in emergency financial assistance. We're already upwards of 18 million, and again, in an average year, it would be about to about 1,500 individuals. So we're upwards of 14,700. So we're already about 9 times our yearly average in financial assistance, and more than 9 times the yearly average who receive that assistance. The other way the fund really has stepped in is our offices did not shut down, but our team members, my colleagues across the country, continued to work from home, like many people. So our offices were no longer inviting clients into the office. There may be many of our clients who are immunocompromised, maybe seniors, and just we wanted to be protective of the people who work in our industry. So many or most of our services moved to online. So we are able to reach many more people than in an average year with our health insurance counseling seminars, with our health insurance navigation information, with financial wellness seminars, with mental health groups, with online meditations, with affordable housing information, with information on accessing unemployment benefits, and preventing eviction. There's all kinds of free content that we've seen our numbers go way up. For instance, in the Career Center, I know that in person in our offices in New York, we can welcome upwards of, I want to say, 30 or 40 people in some of our seminar rooms. And I know we've had seminars online that have welcomed upwards of 800 to 1,000 individuals for those seminars. And again, it's somebody from Indiana could log on and get that information on navigating, searching for work in a pandemic. So there's been an influx of people to both learn about the Actors Fund and our services around stability and resiliency, but also that influx of people who need that direct financial assistance to help prevent crisis.
My thought is money. Where does the fund secure its funding to be able to help all these people?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking. Of course, people can visit actorsfund.org to donate. So we have thousands of individual donors who support us in all kinds of ways. You come to an event, you might include the Actors Fund in your will or your residuals if you worked in the industry. Or we also have grants, so we'll apply for all kinds of grants. But another way that we get support from the industry, from people, is via our partners. So Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, is one of our, if not the biggest funder of the Actors Fund. And they do incredible work fundraising from the Broadway community and fundraising nationally. And about half of what they raise comes over to the Actors Fund to provide that direct financial assistance to support many of our programs, such as the Women's Health Initiative, our HIV/AIDS initiative, the Friedman Health Center for the Performing Arts, Career Transition for Dancers. There's so many programs that Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS supports. Another way that's really interesting that the Actors Fund's been able to provide, like I said, over $18 million in emergency financial assistance to thousands across the country. And that is through our partners. So we work with, in providing that 18 million in funds, approximately 9.7 million of that money has come from partner funds. So I'll just give you an example. SAG-AFTRA, the SAG-AFTRA, I'm going to get it wrong, but our partners at SAG-AFTRA, the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, provide funds directly to the Actors Fund, and the funds come in and they go back out. The Actors Fund administers those funds for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and we provide those funds to SAG-AFTRA members in need. It is similar with Actors Equity, who has provided money through the Curtain Up Fund, and that goes to Actors Equity members. The International Association of Theatrical Stage Employees has provided funds as well, and that's to support their members across the country. So there are about 17 different funds that the Actors Fund administers on behalf of our partners, because we happen to have, this incredible infrastructure and the social work team members who can quickly get those funds to those people in need. In addition to that, there's $8.3 million in Actors Fund philanthropic funds. So you or me or generous people across the country can donate to the Actors Fund, and some of those funds will go to help people in need. We also have our members. So you can, like many nonprofits, you can become a member of the Actors Fund, and you get access to all kinds of benefits such as pre-COVID, house seats to Broadway shows, which is incredible. But our current members are getting access to all kinds of wonderful discounts. So I encourage you to go to actorsfund.org and learn more. To access our services, though, that is free. You do not need to be a member, but membership is one way to support the fund as well.
To the performing artists around the nation that are watching this show today, what should they do to be able to move to the next step, to be able to get services?
I encourage people that work in the industry, if you are in financial need, visit actorsfund.org. On our homepage, you will see a button to click for those in need. Click there and you will be directed to where to apply for emergency financial assistance. And you'll also see a whole series of links for all of our other services. So you may not be in financial need right now, but you may be in need of some support, some mental health support, some support around addiction and recovery, some housing support. You may have questions on health insurance or how to navigate a pandemic in terms of your career. So I would highly encourage people to come over and click on that button for those in need. I do just want to mention as well that the Actors Fund has a wonderful board of trustees. Our chairman is Tony Award winner Brian Stokes Mitchell, and on our vice chair, one of our vice chairs on our board of trustees is the wonderful Annette Benning. So we have an incredible community that leads the Actors Fund, and our CEO is Joe Benincasa, and our COO is Barbara Davis. So it's a wonderful organization, but I encourage people to visit the website.
As things start to hopefully sooner rather than later get better with this pandemic, how does the future look for the performing artists and for the fund in general?
I think it's filled with hope. Like all of us, we see the news reports that the incredible frontline workers are already starting to get vaccinated. We're hopeful that that team at the Actors Fund home, at the Friedman Health Center, at hospitals, at assisted living facilities across the country are getting those vaccinations. And then, of course, the seniors and people who are immunocompromised, our clients, continue to get vaccinated. And then as more people are, vaccinated, then we're very much hopeful that we start to see film and TV production come back. And then eventually, as people get comfortable, theater and dance and music venues across the country begin to reopen, and people begin to feel safe and confident that they can attend live arts across the country. So there's so much hope. But meantime, the Actors Fund is there. We've been there since 1882, and they're not going anywhere. And it's a wonderful community of supporters and a community of people in entertainment and performing arts who it's just so exciting to think that the fund has been there since 1882, and thanks to the support of thousands of individuals and wonderful partners and organizations, we continue to be there. So it's hopeful.
Well, as we start to wind down this interview, do you have any closing thoughts for the viewer?
I would just send my very best wishes for 2021. I'm not sure when this will air, and I would also encourage you to visit actorsfund.org. There's a lot of wonderful content. There's wonderful songs that people have posted in support of the arts community, and there's a lot of really interesting content that, like I said, that's for free that you can visit and just enjoy. One final thought I'll leave you with, and here it is. There is a show called Stars in the House. You can find them at starsinthehouse.com, I believe. But just Google Stars in the House, they're everywhere. And that is a show that's produced and run by Seth Rudetsky and James Wesley. And it benefits the Actors Fund. They have raised over $600,000 for people in need in the community. And it's an incredible show that they've already had hundreds of people, hundreds of stars come on and appear and encourage donations, but also just talk about performing arts and theater and TV shows and films and just all of the wonderful entertainment and arts that's been a bit on hold, but it's coming back soon. So it's very much a celebration of that. So those are my two thoughts. Just best wishes for 2021, and go check out Stars in the House. You'll smile and you'll laugh.
Well, thank you so much, David, for being my guest today. I greatly appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you, Deborah.
And thanks to all of you for joining me. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host of Arts and Entertainment. I'll see you next time.